Okay, so to place all the informations in one place. Okay, so this control plane communication. So we bond and its certificate, we manage device certificate, we smart device certificate. Certificates are exchanged and mutual authentication takes place. So we bond as a we bond, it should authenticate we manage and then we smart, then it validates. So it validates certificate serial numbers against the authorized whitelist, and we smart controller and then we manage validate we bond certificate organization name against locally configured one. So vBond validates the chassis ID and then associated serial number. Then vManage and then vSmart will validate only the organization name inside the certificate. So once this is completed, then DTLS and then TLS session gets established. Like all the components will try to form it. Okay, so we have some detailed information into it on the certificate side, but I'll go with some basic information on the router as well. So adding a VH, so router identity. So again, public key, private key. Public key, private keys are generated on the VH. Certificate is generated and certificate is signed and certificate is loaded into TPM. This is a process like standard certificate hierarchy works in. So VH router has a root CA certificate trust for chain for cemented, and this is loaded from the softwares. So controller elements, public and then private keys, and they are CSR is generated, and CSR is signed by certificate authority, and then certificate is written back, and the root certificate we need to populate it. Okay, so now this sequence imagines that all the devices are obtained with three information. Now, this is the things will happen after whatever the topics we discussed. The first thing what we did is, okay, so device, for example, components.
Parthiban, can you please go to the previous slide? Was it for cloud devices, VH Cloud?
This one, right? This one,
This is for establish VH router identity.
physical
No,
box,
the next one. Yeah, this is physical box, right?
controller, control elements, controllers. So we bond, we smart, we manage. The boxes will generate local public key and then private
Oh,
key.
okay.
So public key will be sent into the CA as CSR, and CSR is signed, and then certificate is written. Certificate get installed on the operating
Okay.
systems. I mean, into
I
this
do the same
device.
thing. Thank you.
Okay, so this place we can assume all the sequences. So components are introduced. For example, we built VPN 0 configuration for them, and then system configurations for these devices, and then we just loaded the device certificate. So device certificate, and also we just updated the root certificate. So this is initialized. And then second thing, on vmanage, vmanage, we just whitelisted controllers. So add vbond, and then we added the vsmart. Okay, so once the initialization of the component and also vmanage is whitelisted. Now you know that on the vmanage we logged in, we added the vsmart, and this information is propagated to vbond. We added the vbond, and then this is propagated to this place, and we whitelisted the vanages. So all vanage informations are updated here, and vbond has vanages information, and then vsmart other controllers, and vanages and then other controller info. So controllers will have the entire visibility towards to it, plus they have reachability with each other, and they have inbuilt certificate in it. So once these things are done, how the authentication, mutual certificate trust, gets established. So first step, vanage or any component. Certificates are exchanged, and mutual authentication takes place between vbond and vh, and vbond will validate vh router serial number and then chassis id, and Again, VH validate VBond certificate. So the certificate provided by VBond is validated by VH. VH provided certificate is validated by VBond. And if this is done, and it establishes the tunnel. This is basically an DTLS tunnel. With VBond, we don't enable any TCP based tunnel, that is transport layer security tunnel. Only UDP based DTLS tunnel is established. When this is done, it's VBone's responsibility to distribute other controller information. VBone returns to VH a list of vSmart controllers and vManage, and VBone notifies vManage and then vSmart about the public IP address or the IP address of the vManages. So again, you could remember now, VBone is authenticating. VBond collects the public and then private key, private IP addresses or these devices, and then they are distributed to other controllers. Okay, so VBond notifies this information, and sorry, and then provisional DTLS and then tunnel is terminated. So now it's a temporary connection, and this session gets removed. So no longer from a VBond to the manager's connection could be retained. It's a simple process. VH provides its certificate to VBond and vice versa. And VBond, VH validate the certificates with each other. And then authentication becomes successful at VBond. VBond distributes controller information to VH, VH information to controller, and detaches the session with VH. Now VH collected the information about vManage and then vSmart. It starts communicating the same procedure with other controllers. So certificates are exchanged and then mutual authentication takes place between vSmart and then vManage. And vSmart and then vManage will validate the certificate serial number and then chassis ID. And similar way, VH router will validate the certificate against a locally configured organization name. And there is a permanent DTLS TLS tunnel between vSmart and then this is the permanent session. And once the session is established within the session, it runs additional protocol communication from vManage to vEdges. There is an SSH and then netconfig session is built. SSH and then netconfig over SSH. So this session is built, and basically this SSH and then netconfig to push management configuration to the devices. In the same way, with vSmart and then vManage, there will be a new tunnel is built, or new DTLS session will, a new connections will be built, and this new connections will be for the routing protocol OMP. So OMP adjacency is built, and then net config or SSL session will be built from here. So certificates are exchanged by validating the digital certificate, and then these boxes will trust each other, and they will make a permanent connection or temporary connection, and they will try to maintain the permanent connections. So permanent DTLS and then TLS tunnel is built. Okay, sorry. And then over that the sessions gets managed into it. Okay, so now you can say Vantage is connected with a vBond, and then vBond provided informations are validated, and then terminated the session, connected with the vManage, established a permanent session for device management, connected with the vSmart, and then validated the information, and then connected with the OMP and started receiving the control plane. And this device is ready for tunneling or data plane communications. So one mutual trust logic based on the digital certificate. Any questions to be addressed? I will address it here in these two pictures. Okay, so you can put all four things in one place. Okay, so in the first step, so authentication with VBond. VH VBond, they do authenticate by exchanging the certificate, forms the DTLS session. It's not TLS, it's UDP based. And through this DTLS, IP address of the controllers are given to VH. and VH informations are distributed to other controllers. Then VH will have the vManage IP by exchanging the certificate authentication, and vManage will try to push the complete configuration in the sense like if any device management configuration in the name of template. So we do define some template, and this device template will define all the configuration: IP, transport, service VPN, routing protocol, redistribution, AAA, NTP, syslog. So all device configurations will be loaded in the name of template, and after the SSH session is completed here, and vManage uses template based configuration and pushes back into VH. Now VH will be with complete configuration. Remember, while we are initially deploying the Vantage into the fabric, it has only basic configuration about VPN 0, VPN 512, system, and device certificate. It doesn't have any information like what service VPN to use, what routing protocol under the service VPN to use, plus additional configuration about device management or whatever it be. So the complete configurations we are going to load in the name of template, and this configurations could be possible through vManage. So in vManage, we do define a template with complete device configuration for a Vantage. The moment it completes the DTLS session with VH, vManage pushes the template based configuration. Now, VH is provisioned with complete configuration: VPN, service VPN, redistribution, device, everything like complete configurations to be loaded. Now, using the complete configuration, VH will try to talk with vSmart, completes the authentication, and vSmart will establish DTLS session, and via DTLS session, it forms the OMP peer. And once OMP adjacency is done, it's OMP responsibility to send all the routing table update, number of T-locks available, number of routers in the fabric, number of T-locks, then or the service VPN routes, then VPN encryption keys, then policy information, plus service function routes information. By using the T-lock, it just says I have VH2, VH3, VH4, all available VHs in the fabric to all available TLOC IP addresses. This Vantage will try to form a VPN tunnel. Again, it will talk to the VH, exchanges the digital certificate. When certificates are validated, and then establishes VPN tunnel on IPsec. IPsec tunnel will be built. After OMP is completed, then only it can be able to form the VPN tunnel. And inside every VPN tunnel, there is a session called BFT, bidirectional forwarding deduction. This session is used to track the liveliness of the tunnel, whether the tunnel is up and running or tunnel status going down and then coming up flapping, and also tunnel quality like tunnel maximum MTU supported, tunnel delay, tunnel bandwidth. So tunnel quality and also tunnel liveliness both will be tracked with the help of BFTs. So authentication with the vBond, authentication with vManage, authentication with the vSmart, authentication with the Vanages, and when everything is completed, Vanage to Vanage IPsec tunnel, and to check each tunnel quality and then liveliness, BFTs. So this whole process is automated. So we don't have to do any OMP specific settings. We don't have to do any BFT specific settings and then IP specific settings. Nothing. So everything is automated. Buy a new box and then open it, and then make some certificate installation, provide VPN 0 settings, system configuration, connect into the network. The device automatically talks to vBond, authenticates, talks to vManage, authenticates, vSmart authenticates, and then with all the other advantages, it forms the VPN tunnel. It comes up to the production automatic. This is how it takes place. Even in the second level, the devices with the minimum configuration. Even I don't need the devices with minimum configuration. We are introduced with this ZTP process and then PNP process. Using ZTP or PNP, even the device not required with system settings, not required with VPN 0. Through DHCP, it obtains the IP. It talks to the public network. Via public network, this is redirected automatically into local vBonds, and then local vBond authentication, local vManage, then same process will be sequenced. I mean, tomorrow we will talk about ZTP and then PNP process, but at this time, manual deployment. So using the manual basic system configuration and then basic connectivity configuration gets provisioned into it. So these are four sequences what you can remember, like deployment for these boxes into the fabric. Yeah. Any questions? I can address it for this. Fine. So additionally, firewall ports to be open. There are two things we need to basically remember. Anytime data plane VPN traffic, IPsec traffic goes from VH to VH, it always through UDP. There is no TCP based IP packet communication between VHs or WAN edges. And second thing, with VBone, it's a temporary connection. Always from WAN edge to the VBone, the session will happen through UDP. With vSmart and then vManage, we have an option. Either we can go with UDP based DTLS or TCP based TLS sessions. So when the vManage is initialized with 8 cores, so core 0 to core 7. So the first UDP session on port 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, again 4, 4, 6, 5, 6, 7. Like each core will be with one dedicated UDP session initialized. The same way vSmart, with each core, one DTLS session will be initialized. Okay, so vBone orchestrator do not support multiple cores. So as I mentioned, edge to vBonds, we have UDP. Edge to edge is UDP. And with vSmart and then vManage, it's TCP based, but port number is changed like 23456, 23456. That is the UDP is 1, 2. It starts with 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is not there, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. But here 1 is not here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are standard port numbers. In case if the organizations need to be open with the firewall port numbers for the control plane communication with these boxes.